Alrighty, 72 days has been leading up to this. The past 2.5 months has led up to this night tonight, with Francisco and Andrew are in the final two, with 12 of their other house guests having to bite the dust over the last 2 months. It has been an org full of fights, of drama, of connections, of love. And yet here we are with Francisco and Andrew. Tonight we will crown a winner joining the winner circle with Brett. However, the only thing standing between you and the finals is 7 jurors, and you need to get 4 votes. But before we do that, we have some opening statements. Each of you will address the jury, and you will have 10 minutes to explain your game to the jury. At that point, we will then go through each jury member, which each will have 10 minutes max to ask questions and get the information they need to cast their vote. After that, we will then have closing statements where each of you will have 5 minutes to discuss anything else that you feel like you need to say to the jury. And then at that point, the jury will cast their votes for a winner. House guests, it's time to see who is the winner of Padlock 2 after 72 days. And we start alphabetically. So Andrew R., it's time for you to address the jury.
Hello. Okay, so I just want to start by thanking production and the cast for a fun season. You guys put on a great game. Had to deal with us for nearly 3 months. So kudos to y'all. When I was trying to figure out what I wanted to say, I originally started to come up with like a list of all the things I was proud of in this game, all the game moves I made, the things I had to do to get here. But as I kept going through my game, I realized, yeah, there was a lot that was good, but there was also a lot of mistakes I made along the way. So for my opening statement, I'm definitely going to tell you the good because I didn't do that for nothing, but I would be naive not to mention mistakes because those mistakes came with lessons. And I think without those lessons, I wouldn't be here in the final 2 today. In my opinion, I think playing a game like Big Brother is all about having social, strategic, and physical game. I think I exhibited all 3 as well as have made mistakes in all 3. So I'm going to walk through each one. First is social. I came into this game not wanting to be the absolute best social game or social player because I knew that it would put a target on my back. I tried to play early on, middle of the road. I made early tight bonds with specific people like Jess, Johnny, Francisco, and then tried to manage other relationships accordingly. I soon realized in week 2 that the middle of the road social game I thought I was playing was actually a bit bottom tier. And that came true through Amanda's HOH with me being left out of talking about that, and then me being in consideration to go up week 3. In order to make sure I didn't have a short run in this game after week 3, I tried to strengthen bonds with people because I didn't like feeling on the outs. Gigi had just saved me, so I tried my best to strengthen my bond with her. I also strengthened bonds with Duncan, Malcolm, Patrick, Honor, Lana. I just really want to stabilize myself in the game. With new relationships came new alliances. I was approached to join one alliance in particular, which was the Anti-Fast Food Alliance. Of me, Lana, Duncan, Francisco, and Johnny, which was like the rebellion against the fast food alliance Amanda started. And this alliance was added to a list of some other alliances I had earlier on in the game. Me and Johnny had a final 2, and I was committed to it until I didn't think it could work for me anymore. And some others were me, Francisco, Duncan, me, Francisco, Jess, me, Francisco, Patrick. As you can probably tell, there was a lot of groups with me and Francisco in it. Which was a big concern for me, especially when the group of me, Duncan, and Francisco got leaked, because I knew I had other similar groups made up of a similar composition with Francisco. And I wanted to deflect any possibility of being targeted as a duo, because I saw Amanda and Malcolm be targeted as a duo, and I saw Jordan and Patrick being targeted as a duo. A lesson I learned from alliances and social game was that sometimes a good alliance only lasts a few rounds. An example of this was the Anti-Fast Food Alliance. The week Jess left, Lana, someone who was in that alliance, nominated me that same week. And the entire alliance left me out of a vote with the exception of Francisco, who gave me a heads up before. And this gave me like week 3 deja vu. I felt very out of the loop. I felt not comfortable with my position, and jury just started. So I was my social game was not a little bit rocky. And because of that, I formed an alliance with Patrick and Malcolm, 2 people who were also left out of the discussion. And that's when we formed our Game On Motherfuckers chat, a group that I was dedicated to, and game-wise, a group that worked out for me throughout the early stages of the jury because we really beasted the early game. I think how the trio dissolved is one of my biggest lessons learned in the game. I've played these games for like a long time, and like I easily discern personal from game. And I believe that, and I still believe, along with Patrick, I know Francisco and Duncan in the moment that Malcolm was a front runner. So turning on that alliance game-wise made sense. However, a flaw in my social game, or a lesson I learned and that I realized after the fact, was that sometimes the game means more than just a game, and it is personal for people. And I think hard decisions like that put the game into perspective for me. Social game for me up to that point in the game was just having good social connections. That's what I saw social game as. But after having a 3-hour conversation with Malcolm, hearing Duncan's perspective on the game, Patrick's perspective, Francisco's perspective, social game became more than that. It's about understanding how like Big Brother and social connections outside of the game and people's stories really blended and mixed together. Whether it was race, mental health, gender, any of those things, they all came into a fusion. And it took me until Final 5 to understand how that played a part in the game. And even though it took me a while, I'm glad that I learned that, or like came aware of that, because it was an important lesson. I don't want this to sound like a personal reflection, so I'm going to start talking about my strategic game now, because I do think I played a good strategic game. A lot of my strategy was making moves that would put me in better positions moving forward. The first move I made of the game was saving myself week 3, which was a move that pretty much shook up the game, I think, for a lot of people. Me and Jessica had a really good relationship early in the game, and she had told me information such as the fact that there was an all-girls alliance and the fact that I was potentially going up. So I used that information, and I went to Gigi, who was HOH at the time, somebody who was considering to nominate me, and I told her all that information. The only difference is, instead of telling her that Jessica told me, I told her Amanda told me, which she didn't. This resulted in me saving myself and making an ally out of Gigi, because even though I did lie to her, she was still somebody I wanted to work with, because I knew a lot of people were writing her off, and I didn't want to do that, and I saw value in that. And I also helped getting Amanda in the process, who was like a beast, and I thought she was going to slay this game. Other strategic things I did was working with Malcolm and Patrick to get Johnny out, someone who was covered at all bases, as well as getting out some front runners in the game later on. Suppressing my relationship with Francisco was another strategy, because I knew that Francisco would likely have, me and him had a good relationship where I felt like he would likely keep me over some other people. And we were in a bunch of 3-person groups, so I felt very comfortable working with Francisco, knowing that when it came to 1 or 2 votes, he would be a vote for me. And this proved to be true at Final 4 when Francisco saved me over Patrick. I was subtly pushing a narrative all season that I thought Francisco and Patrick were a close duo, when in reality, I saw myself as in between that. And that's the reason why at Final 6, I wanted to stick with Francisco. Another secret alliance that I had, maybe not so secret, was me and Johnny early in the game. He was also beneficial for me because he had a lot of connections early on that I didn't have, and that was something that really worked to my favor. Finally, the last part of my game, aside from strategic, is physical game. To many, it probably didn't look like I was the strongest, as it took me the entire season to win 1 HOH and a veto, but like Malcolm clocked me early for in the game, part of my physical game was to throw challenges. I threw vetoes when I knew I was probably safe, and I threw HOH challenges to people I was aligned with. Both HOHs that Patrick won when I was deeper in the game, I knew that I was good with Patrick, so I threw them to him. And then same with the memory challenge to Malcolm. I threw that because, not because I didn't want to get blood on my hands, it was because later in the game I saw more value in your vote rather than being HOH. I wanted to use challenges as a safety net, and that's what I did. When I was nominated, I won a veto, and to guarantee my spot here tonight, I won HOH. I don't think there was any massive mistakes in my physical game, but there was one lesson I learned, and that was never to count anybody out. A lot of people were writing off Lana and Gigi as competitors, and I never really saw the value in that argument because I knew both could do damage. I mean, Lana won an HOH when she was playing a mini, which is pretty impressive, and Gigi destroyed me in the endurance challenge. Even though she didn't win, she like killed it. So overall, I think I played a game I'm proud of. Yes, there were some good moves and some mistakes, but I think the lessons I learned from the mistakes I made is the reason why I'm proud of the game I played, and how I handled situation after situation, even though I fumbled along the way. I know I spoke a lot. Didn't really mean to talk this much. I think that was I don't know how long that was, but I like to ramble, so I'm excited to see what questions you have. That's my opening. And yes, I'm excited for your questions. Please don't drag me too hard.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Francisco, you're up.
Okay, where to start? Hi, everybody. I told myself I was not going to write a long speech, and I hope it's not too long, but I just want to touch on some things in this game. I'm not going to I'm going to go into detail, but I'm going to leave it up to you guys to give me what you want to hear and what you want to know, but I'll detail my game in different areas where I thought I was good at and I didn't think I was as good at. So I first wanted to start off and say congratulations to my fellow finalist and friend, Andrew. We both did it, and we both made it here. We started off working together on day one, and even though we've been on different sides a couple times throughout the game and have played our own versions of the game, I'm thankful that we were able to have each other throughout this process. And thank you to production for putting together this game and finding this awesome cast. It has been a blast to play this game for the past couple months. It's my first time making it to the end of a long-term Skype org, and regardless of what happens tonight, I know I'm very proud of myself making it to this point because it's what we all hope and wish for as we come into these games. So I know I'm proud of what I did along the way. Now, after night one of seeing who was on this cast and finding out Kitty was a sex phone operator and CLC trolling about time zones and then CLC dying on night two, I knew that this game was going to be chaotic and full of so many twists and turns, and it did not disappoint in any capacity from Gigi's iconic HOH week, which was amazing. She had other opportunities and moments in this game where she proved everybody wrong, to the fast forward evictions, to the blindsides, stolen powers, and big moves. I don't think season 2 failed at all in delivery. I think we brought it. Congrats to everyone on the jury for making it to this point. I know we all want to see jury, and with so many different characters and in this season, it could have went down in numerous ways. So all that being said, Padlock season 2. Looking at the cast, I knew that I wasn't going to be the only social threat, and I was worried that others might even play the social card better than myself. So I knew straight off the bat that I needed to get to work. I got myself into a handful of trio chats. Like Andrew said, me, Andrew Duncan, me, Andrew Patrick, me, Andrew Jessica, Lana Duncan, myself. It was so I could better socially position myself and keep myself off the block, where I was able to get information from different people and not necessarily have to be the person to pull the trigger. And I was able to keep myself safe in those essential early rounds while I was figuring out my best avenue and what was going to be best for me and when I can make my moves later on in the game. I didn't want to be such a massive threat at the beginning because that's always my problem. I don't know how to minimize my threat level, and I feel like I sort of did that at the beginning of this game. Coming into Padlock, it was most important for me to build legit, strong connections with people and not to be a game bot. I didn't want any of my connections to be fake. I wanted it to be real. Yes, we're playing a game and we're making connections to better our game, but I didn't want the game to be the impetus behind making alliances and connections. I wanted to team up with people that I really liked and that I really trusted. And I feel like I honestly can say that I did that too. There were a handful of people that I worked closely with, and I'm honestly grateful that I got the chance to do that. So now just talking about the game, some moments in the game that I thought were very big and essential for me. There were a couple big moments actually that really helped set up my end game, I believe. Winning my week 5 HOH and getting rid of Anwar was massive for me. I'll admit it was shiesty. I promised him something and I went back on it, but it was a necessary move. Thankfully for Johnny and our new connection that was established during that fast forward eviction, during Amanda's eviction, I was able to find out about the plan to try and save Anwar with Duncan, with Patrick, and possibly Andrew, who knows the true story. But I was able to stop it and ensure that a social threat was evicted early on, and it brought Patrick and Duncan closer to me as allies. It got rid of Anwar, and I got more of Patrick and Duncan. That round also brought a lot of drama. While eliminating Anwar was a success, it also came at a cost. Trio chats were revealed, and my game looked like it could have been in jeopardy, but I was able to fight my way through it and make most of those relationships stronger. Then during Lana's HOH, when 2 of my allies were on the block together, and also as an ally, as an HOH, Lana being HOH, it was in my best interest for neither one to go home and to keep saying that I didn't think it would be smart if Duncan were to go and just be honest with Lana, which I was multiple times. And I'm glad I was, because luckily Andrew won that veto, which then led to being able to be a part of the Jessica blindside, which ultimately, I believe, brought Andrew, Patrick, and I 100% together. And closer. Jessica was going to be a massive player if she got further, and as much as I enjoyed her personally, she was an endgame threat, but also I was able to save face with my alliance members after and remain out of crosshairs until Final 6. I feel like, and I could be wrong, but because of those solid relationships and connections, I did not see the block until Final 6. And also because of those solid relationships, I survived Final 6, Final 5, Final 4, and eventually making here to Final 2. The end of this game was very intense and such a pivotal point, actually. I've apologized to Malcolm, and I fully take responsibility for how I responded to him during his round. But being able to navigate being on the block at Final 6 and heavily relying on my alliance with Patrick and Andrew to keep me safe, but also being able to test what people were thinking and what they were going to do, even though I knew if the cards were played correctly, I was going to stay, which I did. But in turn, I lost a huge ally on Lana. And Duncan was also willing to vote me off that round, which also sort of set me up for later in the game to have that info. Next, staying off the block at Final 5 during Pat's HOH and winning that Power of Fido to ensure that Andrew and I could send out the biggest threat in the game. Because let's face it, like, Malcolm's story was way too incredible to be sitting next to at the end. Next up is Final 4, when I really leaned into Duncan and was able to rely on that relationship that I built with him early on, and him trusting me enough to make a move and stick to that move if he used the veto on me, which I did. He used the veto on me, which in turn forced me to choose between two massive allies of mine, which sucked, and that decision sucked, but Patrick's game was way too good. However, I think if I were on the block that round, that both Patrick and Andrew would have voted me off. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel. Now here we are at Final 3. Winning that first part HOH was huge. Even though Duncan did drop for me, I knew I at least had the opportunity to fight for the last HOH. Andrew wound up swiping part 2, which I believe guaranteed me a spot at the end of this game because of my connection with him, but also because Duncan's story was also incredible and he had this game locked if he made it to Final 2. Throughout this game, I was able to have as much information as possible about who wanted to target who was going to nominate who, and I was able to take all that information that people were actively giving me and use it in a way that allowed myself to keep myself safe. While Andrew and I played semi-similar games and relied on our social abilities, I truly believe that it was my genuine connections that I made that helped me pull off bigger moves, eliminate powerful threats, and land on my feet at the end of each round. I didn't play a perfect game. I had flaws. I know that I had things to work on. I could have socially connected with other people more and built on those relationships more, but I believe that would have made the game that much more difficult. Like I said earlier, you can't make it to the end of these games without people along the way. And I owe being in the Final 2 to everyone who I aligned with, because without them and without those real and true connections, I probably would have went out way earlier. Thank you to Andrew, Jessica, Patrick, Lana, and Duncan for all wanting to work with me early on and trusting me. I loved getting on calls with you guys. I honestly look forward to talking to you guys during this COVID craziness. Jessica, while we didn't get to connect that much, I think you're a badass and such a queen. Lana, that 4-hour call where we just stayed up super late and talked about everything, it honestly was one of my favorite moments in the game. Patrick, thank you for sharing so much with me. I love connecting more with you this game, and I'm glad we got the chance. Duncan, you're a rock star. I love you, and I can't actually wait to hang out in person one day. Thank you to Malcolm for talking to me about your real life, and I hope that we actually can get mimosas and chocolate chip pancakes and laugh about those fools who made you feel that way. Thank you to Gigi for trusting me with personal information about your life, and I'm glad that we got to get closer, even though it might have felt at that point I was gunning for you, but it made sense the most at that point in the game. And I love that we got to share our love for Power Rangers and singing. And thank you for Johnny for always just willing, to shoot the shit about life and just talk about nothing and have fun talking about nothing, but also coming to me to help me make moves, even though it sounds like you were doing that with a lot of people. I don't know what everyone values in terms of the best game, but I know that I feel like I played my best game. I got dealt a hand and I played my cards to the best of my ability. I never checked, I never folded, and I always tried to make sure I would have a winning hand. Did I do it perfectly? No. But am I proud of it? Absolutely. Honestly, at the end of the day, I wouldn't change a thing. I learned a lot about myself as a player. I learned a lot about myself as a person. I learned a lot about other things about other people and how we navigate life day to day and how people feel in their personal lives and how it translates to game and how better to deal with those situations. And I'm glad that throughout this game, we got to have those conversations. And I finally just put myself out there and played a game that I could be proud of at the end of the day. And along the way, I got to make some friends. So thank you for allowing me this moment to share insight about my game. And I'm excited to answer any questions you might have. And that's it. Sorry, so long.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Andrew. It's now time to face the jury of your peers. First up, Jessica.
Hi, guys. I don't have any crazy hard questions, but we just gave you our most favorite and our least favorite moment. So what are your guys's? No decoy answers, just the real ones.
I can go first. Okay, so my least favorite moment was anytime there was an endurance challenge. I feel like honestly, I feel like that was whenever I heard it was endurance, I was like, okay, yeah, just count me out. I am like the worst at that. My favorite moment probably was I have to say my favorite moment all game was during week 3. I think I really felt like my backup was up against the wall, and I really felt like I don't know. I just felt like I was not in a good spot, but I was able to like by myself like work. I don't know, work what I had to do, and I was really proud of what I did week 3 to make sure I survived that week. So that was, and then that was like game wise. I think aside from that, I really also enjoyed like I know I was something that I was probably not my favorite moment. Another one was the first premiere night. I was very high, and I was very embarrassed after the fact that I was just sitting there staring at the camera. So that was not a good moment for me.
Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, it was not a good moment. But on the flip, I also like love playing Jackbox and like just the house calls. Those were also really fun. But yeah.
Oh my God, that was so funny. I was like, Andrew, are you okay? Hi, Jessica.
Hi.
It's hard to choose. My most favorite moment, like I said, is that 4-hour call with Lana was one of my favorite. We just got to stay up late and listen to YouTube videos and watch performances and not really talk a lot about game and just kind of connect on like a real human level. Also playing Jackbox with everybody. Those are obviously going to be good memories. And winning that week 5 HOH is at least one of my most favorite game moments because it was a crazy round. It was a shady round, but it was a round that sort of set up the end game for me a little bit better. My least favorite moment was finding out about Duncan sharing those trio chats with Anwar and sort of feeling a little disappointed because I had put a lot of trust in Duncan and was like really invested in him and I as a duo, and that sucked because I wasn't sure where I wanted to go with that alliance at that point, and it was really conflicting because I love Duncan, and that round sucked a lot, as well as equally as it was being successful too.
Well, congrats to both of you. So good luck.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Next up is Johnny.
We don't have Johnny at the moment.
Is Gigi here?
Well, let me see if I can get someone here. Johnny popped in for a second and then left. So, this is really fun. This is really exciting.
Let's get Johnny. Gigi says she's here.
I'm going to get Gigi in here. Actually, no, Johnny's here now.
Perfect.
Sorry about that. Hello. Congratulations to the both of you. I'm really happy that you're both here. I like you both a lot, so this makes this easy. There wasn't really anyone that I didn't like though. So when I'm a juror, I take the finale night like super seriously, and like everything you say, I feel like I know your games for the most part. So I have like a bunch of questions, and these questions are to just impress me somehow. And the person who I feel impressed by is typically the person who I end up voting for. So I have 3 questions. I'm gonna try to keep them all kind of short because I know I only have 10 minutes. So the first one is, why were you in a better position than the person sitting next to you for the rest of the game after I got eliminated? And I only ask this because like I just want to hear your little like confessional about what happened after I left because I wasn't there. So like keep it like 60, like 75 seconds, something like that. I don't care who goes first.
I'll go first since you went first last time. After you left, I I was shocked. I didn't know that that was going to happen. However, if I was included in on that plan, I probably would have jumped on it because you were a very big threat in the game. And after hearing about everything that you were doing, I probably would have jumped on board. But I just stuck true to my connections with everyone that I was already with and dug in deeper. I knew that there was, potential for other things, but I really put a lot of trust in Lana. I put a lot of trust in Duncan and Andrew and Patrick, and I really dug into those alliances to make sure that no matter if you left, I was going to be okay.
So, I mean, like super late in the game, why were you in a better position than Andrew?
I just feel like I had more connections with him at that point. Like at that point, I felt like I was more connected with Lana, more connected with Duncan. I was connected with Andrew. I was connected with Patrick, and him and Patrick had Malcolm at that point. So I just felt like I had more people.
Okay, and then Andrew?
Yeah. Hey, Johnny. So I think I was better connected than Francisco later in the game, because I think that I was part of. I mean, Final Six. Final Six. I had a group of me, Francisco and Francisco, Patrick, and I also had a group of me, Patrick, and Malcolm. Arguably the biggest competitors in the game were all on my side, and I knew that I was. At least in both situations, when I spoke to Francisco and I spoke to Patrick in that chat, I knew it was likely that both were going to pick me over the other. So I think that even if things really boiled down to it, I would be the one that got chosen, and that's what proved to happen at Final Four. Also at Final Six, Duncan approached me to make a potential long-term game plan with me, him, and Malcolm. So having Duncan on my side as well was something that I really had in my back pocket in case things were going to go left with either situation. And that was one plan that I was really considering because I knew how everybody in the game was big threats. And it's just as the game progressed past that, Duncan became a bigger threat. But I think I really had a lot of options, and I don't think people really saw me as the biggest target because they thought they had me on their side, people did have me on their side. It's just I let them pick me instead of me having to pick them.
For sure. Cool. All right. Second question. What is the most impressive little detail of a move you made throughout the game that helped your long term? But it wasn't obvious, not where you voted, swaying people this way, the little thing you did that really set you somewhere. Andrew, you'll go first because.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if people know this or not, but week 3, I was telling people that I heard from Amanda that I heard from Amanda that I was going up. Amanda never told me that. Amanda had nothing to do with that. And that's the story I kept up with people, because Jessica was actually the one that told me that, and I didn't want to get targeted with Jessica later on. So I think the fact that was this way, I don't know if people knew that or not. I know I told Francisco before the finale that, and he was shocked. So I don't know if other people knew that. So that was my fun fact.
Okay. I think Patrick told me the day before Jess left. But cool. So maybe Patrick knew through Jess, perhaps. Francisco?
Little detail, fun fact. I think that Jessica Blindside was something that I had to navigate carefully because we were all kind of sort of in on it, but I felt like I was sort of being thrown under the bus. So being able to sort of put the blame on other people and shift the blame to that on other people, and being able to save face with the rest of the people in the game kind of kept me out of crosshairs. And I was able to stay in good graces and not be the Malcolm HOH blindside or be the target that round. And also I was able to save face with Andrew and Patrick as well, who were left out of that vote. So I would definitely say that.
Cool. All right. This is kind of my big one. I ask this in almost every org I'm a juror for, and I find it to be a very fun question. So you guys can ask me a question, whether you want it to be about someone in the jury, whether you want it to be about like a question that can get you insight to help you for the rest of the night, because you've got 5 more people to get through, and some of them are going to have a lot to say. I just have questions. So if you want to ask me a question, I could try to answer for you as best as I can, and I'll answer honestly. And also, the more impressive your question is, and the more you could use it, could be more likely to get my vote. So whoever has a question, you guys could just go.
Yeah, I mean, I would just want to know like what my biggest challenge is going to be tonight. Like, what is the area that people are questioning about me?
Honestly, I think what it comes down to is a lot of people really, really, really like you and enjoyed working with you and didn't feel betrayed by you. If you can pinpoint more moments besides the obvious ones, like the Jess move, which I think you were very heavily involved in, and a few other ones, you could probably show more of the little strategic things that you did that really show that you were in like the best position a lot of the time, because you really were, like, you did not get targeted probably all the way to the final six, even as a nominee. And when you were a nominee, you weren't even a target because you had your alliance that was so stable to you. So those little strategic moves of where you feel like you had influence early in the game, like I'm sure you have a ton of stuff you could say about the Anwar week when people try to ask you about moves later, because I know you did a lot there because I was with you on that. And I think there's a lot of other things you could probably say strategically that you did that you just have to really remember what you did. But I know you did those things.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
No problem.
He stole my question. I was gonna say, what do you think? What do you think my biggest obstacle too is gonna be tonight?
Okay. Your biggest obstacle. I think everyone is pretty aware that week 3 was probably the most impressive thing that you have to your name, because that was a week that you really, really, really were at huge risk to go home, and you did a lot that didn't even get blamed on you after that week, to keep yourself safe. I think having more of a role in some of and ownership in some of the people that went home later in the game, because I think you just did a really good job explaining how you were better positioned than Francisco later in the game. And I think the jury phase, specifically the final 6 onwards, when there's only 3 or 2 people voting, being in the best position is really, really important, because it separates like the good players from the great players. So you need to, like, I know, I was going to say this too as like a big point. I know you're both great players. I know you both know how to get to the end of these games. You both know the strategy, and you're both very good at it. You just have to prove that you played a really good game in this game. Because I think I had you guys kind of clocked, and Patrick clocked, and like Malcolm clocked. Like some of these guys who I knew were just going to be so good no matter what. So you just have to prove those strategic things towards the end of the game that set you apart, I think.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I love the both of you. I'm excited to talk to you guys again. Congratulations on making Final 2. It's super impressive. I'll help you guys with this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Next up, the G-Genator.
Hey guys, congratulations. I truly do hope that we all can connect a little bit more after this game, because I know that was hard. There was a lot going on with me, but other than that, I only have one question. I'm going to ask it for both of you guys. If you two were not in the finale, which 2 people would you have wanted to see in the finale, and why?
There's a few scenarios, but ultimately who I think would have been like really good endgame stories and really fun to watch battle at the end based off of where they were at the beginning of the game and watching their story arc towards the end of the game. I think a Malcolm Duncan Final 2 would have been epic and so much fun to watch. Malcolm had this underdog story where he came into power and also swiped a power and got rid of a threat, and then won another HOH and won a veto, and like his resume was amazing. And Duncan started off the game in power and had a little bit of chaos in that Anwar week, and then became an underdog, and then also found himself with his back against the wall and really solidifying a really strong resume for himself. So I would have loved to see a Duncan Malcolm Final 2.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, also still my answer, but I'll take a different one. I think for sure Malcolm, I have to give it to him. I think he played, the beginning, he was left out a lot of votes. He was, people were, he was just in the bottom at the beginning, but he really worked his way out. Swiped the power, made moves, made alliances, rebounded. So I think Malcolm for sure is definitely somebody who impressed me, which is why I didn't want to sit next to him in the end. And then I think another one, I'm gonna say Johnny as well. I think pre-jury, Johnny really was like a standout in this game. Me and Johnny had a final 2, and I knew by the time jury started, I'm like, I cannot go to final 2 with him. He is going to fucking cream me. Like he has like so much say in the game. He was doing so much stuff pre-jury that I knew that if that continued to the jury, which it could have happened, I think he would have been like a big threat to win. So I have to say, I'd probably say Johnny and Malcolm. And it's funny because Malcolm got Johnny out, so it's kind of like closer. And he swiped the power. I don't know, it's funny. But yeah, those are my 2.
That would have been good to watch too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, definitely congratulations on making this far. I am very proud of both of you. And good luck, and we'll see who wins.
Thanks,
Toodles.
Thank you. Bye, Gigi.
Thank you, Gigi. Next up, the one and only Lana.
Hello, guys. I have to say, this is such a great, tonight is a great night. I'm excited about tonight. I'm excited that you two are sitting here. It's not very difficult for me to have my decision because I said what I said when I left, and it is what it is at this point. I mean, I have a couple questions. Francois, I like to call you at the beginning of this game because Brett pointed out that it just made you sound fancy when I called you Francois. So that's that. I just want to know, how's your back? Is it holding up all right? Are you good?
Baby, I got my strong underwear on tonight.
Just want to make sure you're supported. Ow. I just want to make sure because, that's what it is. I feel like I've made such a strong connection with you, Francisco. Andrew, we started off very slow and was able to at least try to pick it up towards the second half of this game. And I feel like I was very honest with you about really wanting to work with you. And I was hoping that that would be reciprocated. And it was, up until the point where, things had to switch up, and it's the game. I want you both to know that there is no hard feelings. I might have sounded a little bitter when I was out, leaving out, and I was that day. I was very annoyed sitting on the block with Francisco, number one, and then going out like that. But I get it. It's game. It was the move that you had to make at that time, and I respect the move. But I play these games with connections. That is a very big, strong point to me, and I feel like I made a stronger connection with one over the other. And then us also game-wise, I feel like somebody played stronger, that I could see it. Because, I saw some moves from you, Andrew, but I saw, I don't know. I am so I'm overwhelmed with this night because I'm excited to see Francisco, you sitting there, because I wanted you to sit there in this end. If it wasn't going to be me, I wanted you to sit there because that's the kind of bond that we connected. And the fact that I told you the night that I left that I was like, look, don't think you're getting rid of me after this game is over, because we are going to be friends way after this. So the fact that you're sitting here, and I let it in jury, I let it be known the moment I got there where my heart was and where it was lying. And so I don't have any questions. I said what I said when I left. Just know I love both. Andrew, even though we haven't had that connection, I still adore you. Francisco, I adore you so much, so much, so much. And no matter what happens, you guys are amazing. So I just wish you nothing but the best, and good luck tonight, guys. I have nothing. I love you. Bye.
Love you, Lana.
Bye. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, Lana. Next up, the legend himself.
A legend that might be doing the most. Gentlemen, congratulations. It's been a long 10 weeks. Glad it is over. But hopefully you all are very proud of the game that you both have played. So I just want to use my time really to just be reflective And of course I wrote it down because I didn't want to fumble. So one thing I heard a lot throughout my final week is that I was the clear front runner to win, taking me out was all out of respect, and that everything was based on game. Like, I get it. I understand it. I knew that doing that move against Johnny was going to put a lot of eyes on me. I understand it. But why was there a lack of respect in terms of execution when at the end of the day, it's a social strategy game?
That's for both of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I can go first. Yeah, I think that was one of my flaws. I mentioned it in my speech. I think for me, I've played these games a lot, and that's something that I think that this game I had a problem with. But me and you had a conversation after everything happened, everything went down. We called for like, I don't know how long, it was a long call, but we called and we spoke to everything, and I realized that game-wise, yeah, I think we both knew you were like whatever gonna win or had a good shot of winning. I think my flaw was, and I realized it after, and I acknowledge it, and all I can do is acknowledge my mistakes, and I've learned from it too. Was that I knew how much like not even like I meant you in this game, but the fact that like me, you, and Patrick, that how much that chat meant, not even just to you, but even to me. I was fucked over by an alliance just right around before. I know you were feeling on the bottom at the beginning, and I think after the fact, I really realized I'm like, fuck, like it made sense. The move made sense, but I think overarching, like not even just like gameplay wise, like just like how you probably felt and like how I know how I felt in situations like that. Like I was like, I really dropped the ball then. And that's why I wanted to call you when I did that one time and really smooth things over, because yeah.
I feel like after Final 6, after I was on the block, I felt like there wasn't much game to salvage in terms of just like alliance with you, because I felt like you put me on the block and I was going to be your target. So I didn't know where I could possibly go with you, especially if you wanted me out. That was one of my biggest weaknesses in the game, that round, of how I handled that situation, and, going at it with you. And I wanted to make sure I apologized, and I know we didn't have that time to really smooth things over, but I know that after this game is over, regardless of what happens, I know I want to have a conversation with you and sit down and talk about everything and just clear the air. But that round, I just felt like there wasn't much I could do in terms of like just the move, but I knew that like you going was going to be the best for that situation. I can't talk about the delivery because I didn't put you on the block, and I wish it would have been handled better. But at that point, there wasn't much I could do. I knew what I just needed to do for my game.
Of course. My second question is, during my final week of the game, I brought up the intersectionality of race in playing social strategy games. Is there anything that you took away from that week that you would want to incorporate in future orgs, whether that be as a player or as a production member? Because I know you both sit on production for other orgs.
Absolutely. And I had a conversation with Duncan, and I made sure, I was like, I just want you to be open and honest with me. I want you to tell me if I'm wrong. I want you to be real with me. And I know that it's better to just sit and listen to how someone's feeling instead of reacting, because there's no way that we're going to know how it feels to walk in somebody else's skin and how they feel in their daily lives or what they're going through. So instead of reacting, to just listen, and then you can, after that, respond and react accordingly and not feel like everything is targeted or attacking you. Someone's just voicing their opinion. So I would take that away into the future. But also, like, some of my best relationship in this game were with people, Duncan and Lana, and I know that I value how they would feel, and I would never want anyone to feel like that ever. So I would take that into the future in games and on production. I never want a player to ever feel like that.
Yeah, I think for me too, I think obviously I'm white, so joining a game or coming to a game, like at least before, it was never at the forefront of my mind. Like I can only be honest, coming into the game, like it was never at the forefront of my mind, like race. Like in life and like, yeah, like I know people like race is always a topic that I'm very like wary about, but in the game context of the game, it was not something I thought of. I think playing future games, even making sure that, you know, maybe I do have an implicit bias, that maybe I am reaching out to more of the white contestants, or I'm, you know, not like balancing time. I think that's definitely something I need to be more wary of, because as a white person, I don't have to. I was fortunate enough to people would approach me about stuff, and I felt like for me, I think going into a future game, like really being aware of how other people are feeling and putting myself, I can't put myself in people's shoes, but like Francisco said, listening. I listened a lot this game. I really did. I really tried my best to like put myself in people's shoes. I had a call with you after you left. I had a call with Duncan. I really wanted to like, you know, I'm also in production, so I didn't want to like have people have negative experiences in like my game. I think in future games, like, you know, making sure representation is there and not having just one like somebody just because, you know what I mean? Like I think like having people who are not only people of color who are like represented, but also having people who are aware of like their privilege and stuff going into games, because ignorance, although people, you can say, oh, it's just a game, like ignorance moves, it's like transcribed through the game. This is a social game. This isn't like, we're not playing checkers, we're not playing chess. It's not like I don't know, Monopoly. So I think having people, at least the production member, at least having the production team itself like ready to be part of these conversations is my answer.
Okay, and then just like, I'm gonna ask it. Just one quick question. I think if I was at Final Six, if I was the clear front runner, I think Francisco was number 2. Andrew, you were the swing vote. Why did you choose Francisco and not me?
Yeah, I can be completely honest. Me and Francisco day one had a really tight alliance. After the night one call, me and him hopped on a call right away and like established our game relationship. I didn't think that you were going to be like ever against me long term. I didn't think that. I didn't think you were. I thought you were loyal to that 3. I think the problem was I didn't know who was loyal to you exactly. Like I didn't. That was a blind spot. I just didn't know. And I think with Francisco, like I played the whole game with him, so I was able to like pick out who he was close with. I knew Duncan would have wanted to bring me to the end because he played a similar game to Francisco, had similar allies, and he told me he wanted to, you know, he didn't want to split the votes at Final 2 with Francisco. So I knew Duncan would have probably taken me. I knew Patrick, me and Patrick, I felt like Patrick and Francisco, I really felt like confident that I was in the middle of that alliance. It was an alliance that early game didn't really like do much, but as the game progressed, I really felt confident that like Patrick and Francisco, if they had a choice, would pick me. And it proved to be true at Final 4. I think that really saved my ass because he picked me. And I'm not saying you wouldn't. I'm not saying that you wouldn't. I'm just saying I knew Francisco from day one, and I knew his game and my relationship. I still think you could have too, but I just was like super confident in Francisco 100% that he would pick me over others.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Malcolm.
Thank you, Malcolm, once again. And next up, the org icon himself, Mr. Patrick Hott.
God damn it, Dustin. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hello.
So over the last few days, it has become very clear to me that the jury's not thrilled with this Final 2, but I am. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to see you both there. You know, even though our alliance was never especially strong or dominant until we like really needed each other, you know, after a couple of big rounds in the jury phase. You're 2 people that I played with from day one, like truly played with from day one. And I've been able to see your games, from the start. So I know that you played 2 games that deserve to be here in the final 2, and I'm really happy that one of you gets to leave this as the winner. So, I'm coming into this pretty wide open, and I think a lot of that is because of the relationships that I had with both of you. So going off that, one of the common trends of the jury roundtable and just like random conversations in jury since I've gotten here has been people asking me kind of to speak on behalf of you both, or like to get some insight because they know that the 3 of us had something from the start. And people and production making comments or in the roundtable or players saying, Patrick, I think you can probably of everyone here speak to both of their games the best. Generally, I think that that's true, but I don't want to vote tonight based on assumptions. So my first question to both of you is, what is one major thing about each of your games that I did not know up until the point where I left, that you think is important for me to know as someone that is voting for a winner tonight? And let's start with Andrew.
Yeah, so there's a couple things, but one thing I think that was like I didn't tell anybody was that at Final 6, Duncan came to me, and there was a potential of me, Duncan, and potentially Malcolm coming together as a trio. It was an option for me. I thought that was a very possible option. I knew that at that point in the game, I was kind of getting pinned with you. I'm getting pinned with Francisco because that's when our kind of trio blew up. And I saw that as a viable path. I played this game with really wanting to have the most options possible. I think that something about my game was that I always spoke to people. I always wanted to be part of the conversation. So that having that option was something that I don't know if you knew about, but I think that was something that was beneficial to me if that was a viable path. So just the fact that I had that option, I didn't go that route. But if I needed to, I'm confident that I could have done that.
Cool. Francisco?
I feel like just via everyone in the game that you are aware of information that was going on. I'm not sure if you knew of how well connected I was with Lana, or how well connected I was with Duncan, as well as being closely connected with you and Andrew. So being able to also have those options if someone wanted to target one of you two, and me being able to stay out of that, knowing that I would be okay. Maybe with sort of towards the end with Duncan sort of trying to navigate his way towards the end, I might have been in a bit of danger. But also throughout the game, I wasn't really sure about where you were in the game and how close you were with other people. So I didn't know how much I could trust you. So that is why I had to make sort of moves against allies and not against you in order to get you closer to me. But I don't really know what you know or what you don't know, but I was able to be close with you guys, but also be close with other people without really putting those relationships out in the forefront, so I could potentially just be cool and be safe.
Yeah. Cool. So the last thing that I have is just kind of over the years of playing these games, was that 1 minute remaining for me? Oh no, that must have been from Malcolm. I was like, this does not feel like it's been 9 minutes. So one thing I've learned over a few years of playing this game is that as a juror, you want to make a decision that you're going to feel good about, right? At the end of the day, this is nothing more than an online game for at least for everyone outside of the cast. It's just going to be a website with some pictures in a few days. There's not a prize. There's not any eternal glory that comes with it. But to us, it matters. We just put 3 months into this. So it matters that we have a winner that we feel reflects our season, that we, are proud of. So when I think back to Padlock, I want to be able to say, I voted for this person and I feel good about it because ... So I want you guys to fill in those blanks for me, and I want you guys to tell me why I, Patrick, should feel good about voting for you. Not why, the cast, not why you played a better game or why, the cast as a whole should, but like me personally, based on, what you know about me, our relationship with the game, whatever that might be, why should I feel good about voting for each of you? And we'll go reverse and do Francisco first.
Well, the reasons why I think you should vote for me, or the reasons that I feel like you should feel good about voting for me, is that from the start of this game, I knew that I could potentially have a target on my back because of my social capabilities and also being able to be strong in challenges. So I knew that I needed to minimize my threat level, but also really make a lot of really good social connections so I didn't have to, be in danger. And I feel like I did that very, very, very well up until Final 6 when I was on the block, like Johnny said earlier. Being able to stay out of danger that long and let other people take shots at each other while also making big moves, I think that in this game really, really helped set me up for the rest of this game. Like I said in my speech, taking out Anwar, being able to pull in people closer to me, taking out Jessica, being able to pull in people even closer to me. And also, towards the end of the game, Andrew said earlier that he was better connected, but Duncan going to him at Final 6, I was able to get Duncan, or Duncan was willing to use that veto on me for me to make a move. So even though Duncan went to him, I ultimately got that veto choice at Final 4 in order to make it to Final 3 and make it to be able to compete for HOH and get to the end. I feel like I did very well in challenges, not all challenges. I'm not talented in a lot of areas, but I succeeded in other areas. And also my strategy. I had strategic moments. I wanted to get close and make moves, be in people's ear and get information from other people and be able to make the best decisions possible for me in the game, while I had to be selfish at some points, like taking you out and ultimately maybe having to vote Duncan out to ensure that Final 2 would be the best option for me. I feel like I did everything as clean as I almost could, not as clean as I could, but clean and honest as I possibly could without having to backstab people. I did it as well as I knew I could possibly do it, and I feel comfortable and happy with it.
Cool. Andrew, why should I feel good about voting for you tonight?
Yeah, I think, well, me and you clearly, like, during at least the jury phase of the game, we really worked closely together. And one conversation that we really had that, is sticking out to me for this question is that we both played games before. We both, have played and have done well in games. I think this game is uniquely different, and we spoke about this before, how, at least for me, I was never, when I played games before, being in the bottom, at least round 2, round 3, that is not something I'm used to. I was never used, as a player, I was never used to, having that obstacle so early in the game. I think that we had conversations about how, Onward going, Jess going, even Johnny going, even though that we were part of it, it was allies going back to back to back. And I think that it was uniquely different for me, at least. And I know you probably feel the same for your own game, how you felt like you were coming from the bottom, playing that scrappy kind of game, because I felt the same way. Fortunately enough for me, that scrappy game was all at the beginning. And as the game progressed, I was nominated before Francisco, but I was the last person to be a final nominee. I was not a final nominee until Final 4. The one time I was nominated, I won veto and saved myself. So I think the whole narrative of me playing that scrappy game at the beginning and, potentially going home early and flipping the whole script. And I honestly, and maybe I sound stupid, week 3, I thought after that whole debacle with GG's HOH and all things that happened, I thought I was screwed. I thought I made myself I put everybody in jeopardy that round, and I thought I was screwed. So I think the rebound of that is why you should respect my game.
Thank you both. It's been a blast. I'm really excited that all of what we did together paid off, and that I get to vote for one of you tonight. So good luck.
Thank you, Patrick. And it's time for the final juror. Everyone bow down to the king himself, Duncan.
Hi, guys. First of all, congratulations on making Final 2. I am very proud of both of you. And congratulations to whoever wins and just for getting to Final 2. It's a feat that all of us want to get to, and we all tried so hard for it. Some of us fuck up at Final 3, But congratulations. I have two different things. They're not the same question. I'm gonna address Francisco first, if that's okay. Francisco, I'm not gonna lie or be bitter about the fact that you talked to me about considering voting me out if you won final HOH, because I 1000% would have done the same. I just got really tired of spinning that fucking cup. I'm happy that if I couldn't be in the final two, that you are sitting there and have a good shot at winning. And I think it's really telling about your social game that I'm not the only one that feels like that on the jury. I know that we're in final two and I'm supposed to ask questions about your game, but I would like to ask you to talk to me for like a couple minutes and just compliment me on my story and why you thought I potentially would have been harder to beat in the final two than Andrew. That's my question for you.
That is the easiest. So you started off this game, I felt like really well socially connected, and we both got ourselves into a couple trio chats that I really felt like set up you and I socially in the game. And then that whole Anwar round happened, which I felt like sort of bit you in the ass and sort of put you in this position where maybe people didn't trust you, with Lana putting you on the block and putting a space between you and I for a little bit, which sucked because I know that we've connected and we've talked about it, but that round sucked a lot, just personally. But it's a game, and I totally get it. But from there, I felt like you play this game from a position of with your back against the wall. You won when you needed to win. You won that veto. You took yourself off the block. You won that final 4 HOH during like the craziest time in the game, and then you won that veto, and you were able to afford me an opportunity as well to like make a move in the game. And I felt like if either Andrew or myself sat next to you in the end, there's no possible way. Like, your story is just too good. And that's what I was most scared of. I know that you would have chopped me at 3. So, I'm glad I'm here. And it's at the expense of you being the last juror, but I love you and you played an amazing game. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Francisco. As for Andrew, I have I have one game question. And I'm going to read my thing so I don't stutter my words, even though I probably will. So at final 6 of this game, I want to know if you were sipping for Francisco or not. I made the move at final 4 to use the veto on Francisco because I thought I would have to win out regardless if I made final 3 in order to get a final 2 spot. But I used the veto on Francisco because I said, if I can't win this game, I'd prefer to be Francisco over Patrick or Andrew. And I think if we get the final 3, at least one of me or Francisco will win. At final 6, did you think that you could beat Francisco from that point on? Or were you just trying to grab a seat at the final 2 regardless of your ultimate placement? Then that's not my question. My question to you is, what did you do better than Francisco specifically in this game? Because I haven't seen it yet. I think that you both have done a good job at positioning yourselves and navigating throughout the game. I just think Francisco has done a better job at managing social relations and getting people on jury to like him more than you. I love you too. I love both of you.
Yeah, no, I know.
But I just in the game, I think Francisco has done a lot better job at jury management. And I don't think either of you have done like specific like game moves like that you can claim 100% for your own, because there's been like lots of people playing this game. But you've positioned yourself well enough to get to the end, which is the point. It's just to get to final 2 and beat the person next to you. And I mean, you've both done that, but I want to know what you've done that he hasn't, because I feel like you've done the same thing, but he's done it a lot better.
So is the question what I've done better? That's the question.
Yeah.
That's like, okay. I think like overall, like the game as a whole, I really do think I adapted. I think I adapted a lot better than Francisco. I think the way that my game started out, I was, not really included in week 1. I think Andrew S didn't campaign to me at all. I don't know if he didn't campaign to everybody. He didn't campaign to me at all. So I was left out day 1, week 1, whatever. Week 2, again, I was left out with the whole Amanda situation. She didn't talk to me about nominations. She literally said verbatim that she told everybody, but she didn't want to say too much because she didn't want to get out. week 3, I was supposed to go up. I was supposed to be up, and we all know we were all part of that fast food alliance. There was another alliance that week that probably could have dictated what happened. So for me, at least, I think I played from that scrappy position of like early game, being that underdog, to really turn things around for myself. Throughout the game, there was a lot of decisions I made that distinctly put me in better positions than over Francisco. The honor vote, I viewed myself as the swing vote. I had conversations with Jess, and I had conversations with Patrick, and I had conversations with you where if I was to vote that way, I think I could have got Patrick on board, and we could have voted to, to keep onward and get rid of Gigi in that round. I think that the reason why I distinctly did that for myself, not for Francisco in that round specifically, was because there was a lot at stake for me. There was a lot at stake. Not only was I in that fast food alliance chat that I wanted to be loyal with, I was working with Patrick. I was working with Francisco, or it's not Francisco. I was working with Patrick. I was working with Jess, and I knew that the best option for me was to get everybody on board to make sure I still had those connections, because even though me and Patrick and Francisco had a chat, and Jess and Francisco had a chat, I really felt like I was closer to them game-wise because those were the conversations we had. So I think votes like that, I think it benefited me. I think the Johnny vote, I think was huge. I think that was something that, I was the one that went and exposed my final 2 with Johnny. That was me going to Malcolm. I went to Patrick, and I was the one that exposed our final 2. I took risks in this game. I think the other thing that differentiates me and Francisco is that I took a lot of risks that really were make or break. That round week 3, if that backfired me, I would have been fucked. If that got out that I lied about all that, I would have been fucked week 3. If the round where I was trying to really get a gauge on where, if it came out that I was genuinely considering that, I would have fucked over so many relationships going into jury. There was just so many risks that I took that I don't necessarily think Francisco took the same amount of risks because he had those social connections. And I'm not saying that's because he just put himself in a better social position. I think the hand I was dealt, I never asked to be blindsided in a vote. I was working with Jess, it just happened to be blindsided. The Malcolm Patrick vote, I was brought into that because we were all left out of the vote. The thing is, with my game, I never went out to seek relationships, because what I think a lot of people might be the game moves I made that might have made people have a sour taste in my mouth, if that's what the people are thinking, was that it was circumstantial a lot of the time when alliances formed. The fast food alliance, that was circumstance of the actual fast food alliance. The Malcolm Patrick vote was circumstance of the blind side. So I felt like I had to play the hand I was dealt, and the risks I took maybe played part of it, but without the risks I took, I don't think I would be here tonight. And evicting you was one of the risks I took, because you killed this game. I know that you were a fucking front runner. When you came to me at Final 6 to come and try to make something happen, at that point I was genuine. But as soon as, everything blew up with the Final 5 round, you fucking murdered that Final 4 round, you won both challenges. I was like, okay, Francisco was I thought everybody was a threat earlier on, but I really saw what happened with you you really fucking went up the podium. So that's why I thought that was another risk I had to take. So yeah, that was a long answer. I kind of rambled a lot, but that was what I think.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate both of your time. I have a minute left, so to all the jurors, vote for who you think played the best game, and you'll feel good about voting for them at the end of this season. Good luck to both of you. And thanks, production, for a great season. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Duncan, and thank you, jurors. And just like that, it's time for closing statements. Francisco, you're up first.
Okay. I didn't really write anything for this at all. I just sort of took notes and just sort of want to speak from my heart and my brain. I just, first of all, want to thank everyone who played this game and spending time and hours on call and, you know, getting to know each other. Thank you to all the players in this game. Every single relationship that I build with everyone is 100% real. And I look forward to continuing that outside of the game. Thank you to production for putting this game together. And thank you to Andrew again for being on my side. So there are a few things that I want to touch on that I heard. I feel like I had to adapt as well. This game wasn't 100% in my pocket. This game wasn't 100% mine. I had to adapt to different situations in the game, like that fast food alliance being a thing, and also trying to navigate after the Anwar round and Duncan and those alliances being revealed, and also, you know, having to vote out Jessica. I had to take risks as well. I had to lie about the blind side and put myself out there. I had to take a risk by putting up Anwar on the block. I had to take a risk by making as many social connections as I did in order to, because people at any point could have cross-referenced notes and sent me out of the house. I think that was the biggest risk, is making as many social connections and being able to manage those connections, because at any point that could have bit me in the butt. At Final Six, Andrew might have been better positioned to make it to the end of the game, just because of, I feel like, my threat level at the end of the game. Yes, Malcolm and Duncan were huge threats at the end of this game. I felt like I had to fight a little bit harder there at the end of the game. Yes, he might have had situations presented to him, and he might have been able to try to have more options at the end, but I knew at that point in that game that I needed to do whatever I needed to do to make it to Final Two. So that's what I did. So yeah, he might have been better positioned than me. He might have had, you know, Duncan trying to come to him to get me out. There was Malcolm, Patrick, and Andrew together, and he had me as well. But I think that sort of speaks for my game as well, for me being, we're playing this game, not trying to like gloat or brag or anything, but I felt like at that point, if there was an opportunity for me to go, I would have went. I would have gotten voted out of that game. So that end stretch of that game was such a hustle, and that was one of the hardest six. I can't do math. From Final Six to Final Two is very difficult. So in terms of that, I adapted. I took risks. I positioned myself well. I made moves. Maybe not just my moves, because like I said in my speech, without alliances and without connections and without people, we can't do things by ourselves. That's not how the game of Big Brother works. We have to include people in our plans, and we have to have people vote our way, and we have to put the work out there. We can't do anything by ourselves. So with everyone that I played with, thank you for being a part of those moves, and thank you for, you know, being on my side and making those things happen. I'm very grateful, and yeah, I feel like I played the best game. I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud of my game, and no matter what happens, I know that maybe if the jury wasn't happy tonight with the Final Two, I'm very happy that we're the Final Two, and I hope that we did our best to convince you guys that we did play a good game and that we did deserve to be here. And I learned a lot throughout this season. I have played a bunch of these as well, and at the end of the day, we go into a lot of these things hoping that we can win. But the most important thing is that I took life lessons from this game, and I learned a lot about myself as a person, especially during this COVID time, and I take that away. And no matter if I get the win or not, I'm happy with everything that I learned. And yeah, best of luck to you, Andrew, and I have nothing but love. And yeah, I'm going to wrap it before the final is up. And, thank you guys again. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Francisco. Andrew, you're up.
Yes, I prepared something small. I'm not going to spend too long. I just want to say thanks for the jury for questioning me. I know how much effort we all put in this. The fact that you guys came and asked questions makes, I think, I speak for Francisco too, makes us really feel glad with the games that we played. And I think I speak for all of us when we think that this game was like a whirlwind. We went through a lot over the course of the past 2.5 months. Through Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, this game was a long fucking time. So that's why I think overall you guys should vote for who you think played the hardest, who you think is going to represent the season the best, and who you think played the hardest and deserves the bragging rights. Everything I did in this game and how everything planned out and how I got here today was not by accident. I didn't get here by accident. Everything I did in this game got me here today. Whether it was making moves, whether it was having to cut allies, whether it was having to do whatever, everything I did was intentional to get me here. I was never anybody's target all game. All season long, there was not one person who had me in mind to be targeted. Now, maybe after people left, they may change their mind about things, but I think throughout the game, I was never anybody's number one target. Even the week Lana nominated me, she told me she was her pawn. Aside from that, I just want to restate a couple of my accolades in this game. I was only nominated twice this season with 0 votes cast against me. One time I was nominated, I won the veto to save myself, and that was the first time I was nominated. I was the last person to be a final nominee, even after Francisco at Final Four. I was never a final nominee until Final Four, which is pretty impressive considering I almost went home Final 3. I was able to win Final HOH to ensure my place here. I made moves when my back was up against the wall. I was a part of alliances, blindsides, power plays. I lied to some, others lied to me. I was loyal to some, others loyal to me. I was betrayed by some, I betrayed others. I spoke to everybody this game and really valued everyone as a person and a player. I never counted anyone out. And I think most importantly, which is what I think any game player needs to acknowledge, is that I made mistakes along the way. I tried to learn from others, like on how to be a better game. I took each round and really took it into consideration, like how I could be a better player and person. Everything I did was intentionally. All the relationships I made in this game were not farce. They weren't just like game relationships. I was happy to meet everybody. Some people I spoke to more than others, but even people that I didn't speak to as much, all their conversations were real. I called with people, and I really connected with you guys. It was a great cast. This is the first time I played the game where the game has actually gone beyond the game and real topics about like life, race, gender, mental health, everything was discussed in the context of a game and became part of the game. And I think a problem with a lot of orgs is that most people, like including myself, come into these and be like, I'm just gonna fucking play the strategic game. I'm gonna do moves to do whatever. And I know that is how like I said, I know that's how I saw coming to this game, but like after this experience and like going into future games, I think I speak for both for me and Francisco when we say there's a lot of lessons learned in this game. And I hope you guys can see that I was learning as I went. And because of that, I think this game was uniquely different for a lot of us. Whatever happens with the vote, it's up to you to decide. But beyond the game, I'm glad I was able to spend however many weeks I was with you all. Glad to be part of the Padlock family. Me and Francisco, I know you guys, somebody mentioned that wasn't happy to be Final 2, but I'm happy that I'm sitting here at Final 2 with Francisco. We killed this game. We thought we were going to be targeted together since whenever, but we made it. And again, thanks to Jury and Prod. And yeah.
Thank you, Francisco. Thank you, Andrew. Truly, the level of gameplay this season has been amazing, and I appreciated every single second of it over the last 2 months. And before I say anything sappy, I'll explain how the jury is going to vote. I will go from most recently evicted to least evicted. So I'll start with Duncan and bring me back to Jessica, and I will call your production chat one by one to cast the vote for a winner. After that, I will see you here and we will reveal who the winner is. So Duncan, I'll see you in your production chat in just a second.
Can we take a bathroom break?
Yeah, I'm gonna go fill my water. I'm fucking parched.
Yes, please go for it. Go for it.
That was crazy.
That was fun. I hate all of that. Oh, no, nothing fell. My lamp fell. Oh shit. Well, how long did that take? Oh shit. Hour
It's
and a
like
half.
an hour and 19 minutes. That's not bad for like a final. Like it could have went a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Some of those questions are hard.
I know. I was like, put on the spot a few times.
The only thing I wrote, I didn't like write any other thing down. I was just like hoping that things just come in my brain.
The finals for my closing, I just put like bullet points. I'm like, if I read these, if I don't even know. Then I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say, so I'm just gonna read the bullet points.
I was like, whatever just comes to your brain, just say it. Because my opening was long and just like I wrote it all out. So I was just like, let me just talk.
Yeah.
I don't sound like an idiot.
Well, I mean, like it's what 10. How many weeks has it been? 10.
There's a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to talk about.
But also like some things I just are a blur, to be honest. Like
the early rounds.
the early rounds. Like I don't know if I consider a lot of things that happened at the beginning. Like I feel like at the beginning it was just important to make social connections and like just be out of public eye. Essentially. Yeah. Like to align yourself the best at the end. I mean, at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I
that didn't work out much for me early on.
I don't remember. But shout out to Andrew S. and our Beauty and the Beast Alliance.
Yeah, shout out to Kitty and her new
Kitty and her new titties. Kitty and her new titties, honey. Oh my god.
I'm gonna move to my basement because it's really hot in here. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back.
I was considering just like being dressed up on top and then just sitting here in shorts.
That's what I'm doing. I'm wearing shorts and like a black shirt with like, it's not even fancy.
I just don't feel like if I put a sweater and a jacket on that I can sit here in shorts and feel put together. So nervous.
Me too. Oh well, whoever wins. Yeah. It was a good game.
Yeah, it was a really good game.
I'm excited for the reunion.
For once, someone said in the for once and for all, we will decide tonight which is better, Pro Survivor or Havoc.
We already know the answer, so.
I don't know. Pro Survivor's been around for a long time.
The Kendall Diaries has spoken. She said Havoc is probably better. So.
Kendall Diaries. All right, Kendall.
I didn't even see this chat. Oh my god.
Well, I love Pro Survivor, and coming up is our 16th season, which is exciting. It's starting in February, so watch out for Pro Survivor Deja Vu.
Let me do a plug. If you're interested in playing a game, Havoc is currently casting for our 4th season. Do you think you have what it takes to escape the future? Apply to Havoc Season 4, Forgotten in the Future. Thank you.
Yes, play.
Yeah.
Play. Fun fact, I played Havoc Season 1. Andrew hosted me, so...
Yes, this is true.
16 seasons, AJ.
That's a lot.
We had V. Kim Matina as one of our production. Audrey actually started Pro Survivor with Robbie.
Ooh. We have the Cassidy King, who's in the chat. Who's
Queen Cassidy King. Love her.
We do not sponsor Havoc. Yeah, Havoc sponsors you guys.
Love you, Cassidy.
Yes.
We do not sponsor. Hi, Patrick.
I thought that was Cody for a second who said that. I thought.
Oh, hey, Kings.
No, it said hi, Patrick. I thought that was Cody.
Oh no. You have to do the happy. These are my babies. I hope our org dad is proud.
Yes. The Conquest Pro Havoc trio.
Yes. Apply to Conquest 18, casting sometime.
Conquest 18 Chateau de Loc. That's the season name.
Conquest 18, Chateau de Tokyo.
Sharknado. Yes.
Yes, Pro Survivor coming through in the chat, Hanny. I wonder if they're doing a vote reveal this time, since they haven't revealed a vote all season.
They're just gonna say the winner.
Yeah.
I feel like people know the vote count. There was no vote count that I was shocked by.
Yeah. I would just wonder who voted for, like, the Amanda vote.
Maybe the Jordan vote.
The Jordan vote. I'd be interested to see. I would be interested to see who threw votes the first 2 rounds.
Me, raise his hand.
All right, Andrew and Francisco. 72 days has led up to this. Before we get to any sort of vote reveal, I want to thank all 14 of you house guests for putting your all into this season. It was truly an honor to watch every single one of you. It has made the last 2 months, even for production, just so entertaining. It's something I look forward to every single day. And every single day I loved waking up and reading every single Skype chat that I could. It was truly great. I want to thank my amazing production team. This season would have not run without you guys. I want to thank you guys so much. You know, this is me and AJ's and Daniel's Truly org, and you guys put in so much work this season. And when me and AJ worked every single night shift, you guys put in work, and I appreciate you guys so much. Padlock 3 is going to be so fucking amazing, and I'm going to have so much thanks to y'all. And I love y'all so much dearly as friends and as family at this point. But up to that now, it's time to see who's going to join Brett in the winner circle. So Alex has created some great keys for us. So Alex, if you could get on screen share, let's see who is the next winner of Padlock.
All right.
My lips are so chapped tonight.
Alrighty, we're going to start with Duncan's vote and work our way back. Duncan has cast his vote for Francisco to win Padlock. Patrick has cast his vote for Francisco to win Padlock 2. Malcolm has cast his vote for Francisco to win Padlock, meaning Francisco only needs one more vote to win. Lana has cast his vote for her vote, I guess. Wait a minute. Francisco, to win Padlock 2, meaning Francisco, congratulations. You have won Padlock Season 2. Just for your own results, it was a 6-1 vote. Andrew, you won Gigi's vote.
Thank you, Gigi.
Francisco, congratulations. We will see you in the winner circle, and we will see you in the reunion chat where you meet the other house guests from Season 2. It was a great season. It was a great 72 days. And Francisco, a great winner. I will see you.
Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats, you slayed it.